Hello there folks, back for another video for this weekend. As you can probably guess by what's on screen at the moment, there is something of a anthropomorphic bent to what we're going to be talking about, as well as a little bit of Middle Earth as well. But the topic for this video isn't necessarily looking at these games in depth or exploring the model range or anything like that. We have done that in previous videos and talked about both these games, both Burrows and Badgers and the Middle Earth strategy battle game at length in other videos. You can go and make sure to check those out over on my channel. The topic of this video is comfort games. Now I know there's lots of people who are watching these videos and people who've sort of flicked onto this channel and that kind of thing who are probably looking at miniatures games and have been there for a really, really long time, playing them for decades and all that kind of thing. And I always find that you'll come back to one or two games all the time. A little bit like when you have a comfort movie that you sit and watch when you're feeling down, or a comfort book that you'll always come back and read. And I think the same holds true for miniature war games as well, because what we do is such a intense hobby where we sit down and we spend hours and hours going through miniatures, prepping them, painting them, basing them, getting them ready to use on the tabletop, playing games with them, learning about them, reading rules, all that kind of thing. Sometimes you want games that just get you, I think. And I'm just going to be talking about two games that I think really do that for me. The first of these, this is my my Instagram, by the way. This is, well, my painting Instagram anyway, which is Wolf Paints. But the first game that I'm going to be talking about is Burrows and Badgers. Now, I've talked a little bit about this game in the past and kind of what I like about it. Got really awesome anthropomorphic miniatures and all that kind of thing. Really nice to paint. Most of them are all single piece metal or resin miniatures. Lots of character, something a little bit different. But why is it that I find Burrows and Badgers so comforting? Well, there's a couple of different things. I think to begin with, a lot of it comes down to the fact that the people that create it just seem like genuinely nice, down-to-earth people. Michael and Joe seem to have done a really, really awesome job keeping the community on board with them as they've developed and grown their game and built new miniatures and started to put together rules and all that kind of thing as well. Obviously, we had the hardback rulebook that came out through the folks at Osprey, but beyond that, we've had a whole bunch of additional supplements, like the Warren Percy affair. You've had all the almanacs, you've had all the Oathsworn journals that Michael has done as well. You've got the really nice terrain pieces, the coins. They've really built up a lovely collection of things, and they go on the journey with their community. The Facebook group for Burrows and Badgers is just awesome, and there are so many people there sharing their work and enjoying the process of painting these miniatures and all that kind of thing. So I think to a degree, part of it is that the people behind the company are just awesome people, and I think that comes through in their miniatures. That there's no sterilization of the range in order to, please somebody. These are miniatures created because Michael wants to create them and Joe wants to paint them and all this kind of thing, and they want to work together on the range, and I genuinely think that it comes from a place of awesomeness rather than just trying to hit a bottom line. Although obviously it would be very nice to back them on the Kickstarter campaigns and buy as many miniatures as you can from them because they're lovely people. But as you can see, they come together and they paint it pretty nicely as well. These are some of the more recent miniatures that I picked up. So this was the Hair Warrior that I really liked, a sort of a mix on one of their previous releases. I really enjoyed doing it. I loved the kind of going for that grimdark look on the miniatures, because I think that's kind of what Michael was going for with a lot of the range. So I really enjoyed painting this and getting the armour looking just right and doing old dry brushing techniques and all that kind of thing. We also had the badass rat as well, which very much reminds me of Martin the Warrior and all that kind of things, which is quite apt actually, because that's another element of this that I really want to talk about. So another of the elements that I think makes Burrows and Badgers my comfort game is that it reminds me of my childhood. So when I was younger, I did a lot of reading. I used to read a lot of science books and all that kind of thing. I used to read about dinosaurs and history. My parents really drilled into me a love of sort of like ancient Greece and the Dark Ages and Vikings and all that kind of thing. But I also then led me through thinking about myths and legends into reading fantasy books. And one of the series that really, really caught my attention back when I was young, and I still love to this day, because I still have the books from when I was younger, are the Redwall books by Brian Jakes. I think that's how you say his name, Jakes or Jacks, Yakes maybe. You can even see that I'm like partway through into reading this at the moment. But Martin the Warrior, and to a greater extent Mossflower, which I think was possibly my favourite of the series, were books that just sort of caught my attention because they were looking at the natural world in a very different way and taking creatures and landscapes that I found very familiar, growing up near the countryside and all that kind of thing here in the UK, and putting a new spin on it. And suddenly everything that was out there in the world, from the foxes to the badgers to everything else, the wildcats and all that kind of thing, all had character to them that you could anthropomorphize within them, which I thought was really nice. And so when this range came along and these miniatures popped up, there was no wonder that I got drawn in by it and had fun with it. I mean, I've even tried to put together like a little cool tavern brawl mini game that I thought was kind of fun, that you can try it if you want to. And we'll make sure to put the links down to my projects on Tabletop down below so you can go and have a look at them. But as you can see, I've been painting the range for a really, really long time, working through these and creating all sorts of different things. I even painted up a couple of busts and all that kind of stuff as well. The other thing that's really nice about the miniatures is that you always get to try something different with them. So, for example, you've got, like Osha there, I've called my little mouse battle dancer. She's bright yellows and purples and pinks and golds, and then you have someone slightly more muted with the purples and the greens of Scotland shown off there alongside the blue with that mouse Highlander and things. But it's genuinely just an amazing game to have fun with and paint through and bring to life on the tabletop. And I don't think I'll ever get sick of the miniatures that Oathsworn create and what that means for gaming on the tabletop. I mean, it helps that the game is fantastic as well. You make little war bands and you play them out against each other in sort of campaign styles, which is very, very cool. But yeah, I think just by looking at the range and the painting and all that kind of thing, I think you'll see why diving into this is such a comforting endeavor. It's just got a nice character to it, and it's so different from everything else out there. And it's not driven by the need for a meta or any of those types of things. You're driven by the process of storytelling, which I think is most important. I really can't wait for another Northumbria at War day. I think it's going to be amazing if we can get one next year, perhaps. But yeah, this was just so much good fun. And every time I've sat around the table and played the game with people, it's always just been a delightful affair where everyone just has fun and they enjoy the process of the game. No one's playing too hard. Everyone's just really getting into the feel of it and enjoying the process of just rolling dice and kicking ass and taking names. I need to actually change these models. I need to paint their eyes in as black because I've left them as white there, which is freaking me out now. Oh dear. I need to change that. But anyway, that's some of the cool stuff for Burrows and Badgers that I think it's worth diving into and having a look at if you haven't had a look at before. And hopefully that kind of explains why this is one of my comfort games. Driven by a childhood zeal for the likes of Redwall and all these kind of books, whilst also being just a wonderful collection of miniatures to paint. The second of my games that I wanted to talk about that is a comfort game is, who would have thought it? I've been talking about it on the channel for a really long time now. Is The Lord of the Rings. Now, The Lord of the Rings, as I mentioned, is a game in another video, which I will link to. It's a game that I've just been playing for ages, and in a similar vein, I think it comes back to my childhood and that love of fantasy and storytelling and all that kind of thing. Now, I don't have my original copy of The Hobbit because I gave that back to my mum. It was originally hers, and then I kind of stole it, but it had a really awesome image of Smaug on the front cover. A lot of people will probably recognise it. But this is my new version of The Hobbit that I had back. Was this a birthday present? It was a Christmas present from 2012. But this book set my imagination on fire and was an amazing introduction to Tolkien, and that then led through to diving into the BBC radio adaptations and all that kind of thing. And so coming back to this miniatures range every so often is just like coming home to a nice cup of tea and a good bit of buttery toast and sitting in front of the fire. Much like with Burrows and Badges, it's a range that is just packed with amazing characters, fascinating different things to paint. One moment you're painting elves, the next moment you're painting dwarves, then you're painting Gondorians and Rohirrim, pieces of terrain that, you know, stretch your skills and get you testing all sorts of different things and playing around with undergrowth and all that kind of stuff, which has been really fun. It's genuinely an amazing miniatures range that is spurred on by that love of the films and the books and the radio plays and all that kind of thing as well. And again, it's one of those games as well where when you come back to it, you're always back to a solid set of mechanics. There are so many games out there that sort of twist and turn and then you go, oh, why did they do that and all that kind of thing. Every single time I've come back to Burrows and Badges or Middle-earth strategy battle game, Lord of the Rings, whatever, the rules just work. And again, you can tell that the team behind it are just so invested and so emotionally invested in what they bring to the tabletop that it comes through in the game mechanics and just feels like a dream to play. And the fact that it's not necessarily meta driven as well. You're coming to the game and you're telling the stories. You're diving through the Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings, and you're telling the journey of Frodo and the Fellowship as they walk to Mount Doom to get rid of the ring and all that kind of thing. It's just genuinely a fun game system that I think is well worth having a look at and diving into, even if you have a passing interest in the Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth in general. There's my Frodo that I've repainted many times, and he's got a broken sting that I've had to kind of work back together. But I was really proud of these actually when I came back to revisit them. It was really good fun. But yeah, hopefully that kind of like gives you an idea of what I mean by the idea of a comfort game. And now effectively I'm passing it over to you. What are your comfort games? What are the games that you sit down with, maybe years and years on down the line and go, I am home. I'm back playing a game that I absolutely love with miniatures that I absolutely love. Is it something as big as Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer Fantasy Battles? Mordheim, Necromunda, is it one of those big games? Is it something smaller? Is it one of the Mantic games? Is it Firefight? Is it Kings of War? Is it a historical game? Is it Saga? That's pretty high up there in my estimations, because I really like the simplicity of those mechanics and the fact that you can pick the miniatures up from pretty much anywhere, basically, and they all have loads of character to them. Is it not necessarily a miniatures game? I could talk about role-playing games for a really long time as well. I'll just give a brief mention to, I think, regardless of what you think of the mechanics and the breadth of them and what they can offer to you, I think D&D 5th edition and just the core basic D&D mechanics are just solid. I think they're great, and they provide something really nice for people to continually sit down at the table and play. I'm always thinking up fascinating role-playing hero ideas and having fun with it, as I think most people are. But yeah, so the same thing applies to role-playing games, and maybe that's one of the things you want to talk about. I want to talk about board and card games in the future as well, a little bit more, just to sort of delve into that aspect of things. But yeah, what is your comfort game? Or games, as I've chosen two, so maybe you can have two. You can have a first and a second, or maybe you don't want to ascribe numbers to them. I won't make you do that. But yeah, dive in and let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thank you very, very, very much for everyone who has been supporting the channel, dropping subs, commenting on videos. I really love reading your comments. I try and reply to all of them if I can. Thank you for anyone who's clicking the bell and getting notified, following with the community tab, checking me out on social media, going to check out my blog, which needs to be updated soon, I know. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone who's been getting involved and having fun with Because of Dragons. I've really enjoyed just sort of sitting and chatting every Sunday with folks, and then getting to see what you think in the comments down below as well. Of course, I've left the screen up with Murren and Dra from the Middle-earth strategy battle game, because of course I did, because they're amazing dwarves. They're fantastic. But yes, as I look awkwardly off camera to try and stop the recording, yeah, tell me what your favourite comfort games are. Make sure to get stuck down in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye for now.